When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Perspective matters, right? I'm going to explain to you why and how that relates to the housing market in just a second. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Brian Simmons here with eXp Realty. It is June 29th, and I want to just remind you real quick to please like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends on social media. I would greatly appreciate that. So we had a little hiatus last week from the market report as I was in Orlando, Florida for the eXp Realty Shareholder Summit, which was awesome. Super excited to share any of the details there with you guys. I did do a video on that last week on just kind of some of the things that stood out to me, but just in talking to people about the market in general, different agents from different parts of the country and the world, for that matter. It was really cool to just kind of hear what everybody else is thinking and where their heads are at. And so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later with the perspective of things. But let's go ahead and dive right into the data, and I'll tell you where the market has been over the last couple weeks. 1,183 active single-family residential listings between Jackson and Josephine counties as of this morning. 163 new listings did hit the market in the last 7 days, and 179 price changes. We had 37 go back on the market, 114 went pending, and 94 closed. Okay, 41 expired, withdrawn, or canceled. And all that brings us to 12.6 weeks worth of inventory if we were to look at just that snapshot of just that week. Okay, so if you look at the past 2 weeks, the week we didn't report on, and then this last week, they're really actually pretty similar. No big movements or massive changes or anything. Inventory is still kind of climbing slowly, trickling its way up. It's not like shooting up like a rocket or anything. So we're just kind of seeing, a slow move up and just kind of indicative of the changing conditions in the market. Okay, so another metric that I wanted to share with you guys is one that I actually am not able to because I haven't been able to pull the data out of the MLS. But it's basically, I really want to be able to see of the listings that hit the market, how many go pending or sell and close within their first 30 days in the market. And that's just a little bit tough to pull out of the MLS data right now. And so I'll try to work on that and try to report on that next week. But what I do know is something that's kind of an indication of where that number might be. And what I can see is that in the last 30 days, for example, we had 679 new listings hit the market. Okay, and we had 196 of them go pending or close, and that's about 30%. Okay, so even if it's just 30%, which it's obviously going to be higher than that, but if it was 30%, that is still a strong indication of appreciating home values, of a strong seller's market, and those sorts of things. And so if we use that as a baseline, bottom of the barrel number, like we know it's going to be higher than that, obviously, but if that's all it was, that's still a good indication of a very strong seller's market. So that's a pretty good data point, in my opinion. And like I've said in many episodes in a row, I think that there's a lot of good data points that we could point to that show that the market is really actually really in a good spot. And despite that, you still hear people saying that it's not, or that they think it's going to crash, or that they're going to wait, or whatever the case is. And they're very have a negative outlook on it. And what's become clear to me, though, is that negative outlook is just basically a matter of perspective. Okay, and so to those people, all they've ever seen, from my experience in talking to these people, the ones that are down on the market have a negative outlook. All they've ever seen is 20% appreciation and 3% interest rates. Okay, so this is like the new buyers, first-time home buyers, the younger generations. They're the ones that are thinking, gosh, this sucks. I can't believe we're, selling a lot of homes under 30 days, and we have 3 months worth of inventory, and 5.5% mortgage rates. Like, they're just floored. They can't believe the market sucks that bad. The other side of the coin is the people that have been around the block, that bought their first house in the 80s. They remember 14% interest rates. They remember, the crash of '08 and '09 when everything just went, through the floor. They remember all and the crashes that had happened prior to that. They remember all those things, and they're thinking, I would have killed to have a 5.5 or 6% interest rate on their mortgage back then. And so they see that now and they're like, wow, this isn't that bad, or it's really not bad at all, is their perspective. I just had this conversation with the client earlier this week. And it was refreshing to hear that from them, because I don't remember that. I was born in '85, so I obviously didn't know what an interest rate even was in the '80s. So anyways, it's just all a matter of perspective, is my point. That's really, really critical, and that kind of brings me to the next point, which is it's important to as a buyer, if you're considering buying right now, my best advice to you right now is marry the house and date the rate. Kind of a catchy phrase that's going around, but I think it's spot on. Marry the house and date the rate, because the reality is that rates are from all the smart people that I talk to, they should be coming down within the next year or two. It's highly likely within the next 12 months, and I would say very, very likely within the next 24, that we'll see rates back down into the fours. And that would give you an opportunity to refinance and to get into that lower rate that you might be stressing about. And so marry the house, date the rate. Think about the opportunity to refi. Another little kind of key piece I want to talk about, without getting too much into the weeds on the economics of it, but you got to remember as a home buyer that it's not all just about like the numbers. Okay, that's important, but there's more to it than just how much is going out of my pocket every month and what's happening to my home value, because you also get satisfaction and joy and happiness that comes along with owning a home, and there's value to that, and it's hard to quantify. But in economics, we call that utility. And so for an example, if you are a renter and you're thinking of maybe I should just continue to rent, or maybe I should buy, if the cost is the same, most people would choose to buy, because the satisfaction and the joy and everything that you get out of owning is worthwhile, right? It's cost you nothing more to get that, so you might as well have that joy and satisfaction, whereas if you rented, you wouldn't have it. So what if it cost you another $100 a month to go get that joy and satisfaction by owning? Would you do it then? Most people probably would. But what if it was $200, $300, $400, $500? What if it cost you $500 more a month to get that satisfaction? You might then be saying, it's like, maybe that's a little much for me. But somewhere in there is that number to you where you can quantify what that happiness and satisfaction of ownership equates to. And that's, I think, an important number to know, because if you're telling yourself, well, you know what, I think about $300 a month is my number, well, that's important to know. Okay, because you might be thinking, you found a house that you loved 2 months ago that you're ready to pull the trigger on, and now that house costs you $300 more. Well, it might be worth reconsidering that. Okay, because if that's the house that gets you, the big yard that your kids can go run around and play in instead of being glued to the TV in your townhouse, maybe that's worth $300 a month to you. It probably would be to me, but we're all different, right? So maybe it gives you that. Maybe it's the downsizing that makes your life easier. Maybe it's any of those things. Maybe it gets you out of the neighborhood you don't want to be in. Maybe it gets you into the school district you want to be in. Whatever the case is, like, it's just important to think of all those other aspects that are involved in this, not get just tied down to what is the number, and making your decision based solely on that. So again, marry the house, date the rate. That's all I got for you today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel with your family and friends on social media. Really, really appreciate that. As always, if there's anything in the world I could do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out. We'll see you next week. Thanks.